Hey guys, this is Timothy with my presentation on drones and the Fourth Amendment. Quick disclaimer here, any and all paranoid behaviors induced by the presentation are purely the responsibility of the viewer and cannot be held against the creator of the presentation. Alright, I thought I'd give you guys a brief history of drones. World War I, the United States Navy sponsored a project to create an unmanned flying bomb. It was steered by gyroscopes, and it was basically the first unmanned aerial vehicle to fly under its own power. Um, it was moderately successful, but the plane never was used in combat due to its unpracticality, and it just wasn't that spectacular. In World War II, radio controlled drones were developed and used mostly to train anti aircraft gunners in the army because it sucks to be in a plane just so your buddies can practice shooting at you. In Vietnam, the need for a drone to fill a surveillance role was first realized, and the Ryan 147 was created to fill that need. It flew many successful missions and proved the usefulness of having unmanned aerial vehicles to provide reconnaissance services for intelligence agencies. Since this time, the military has gotten pretty good at working with unmanned aerial vehicles. The technology has advanced quite a bit. As you can see below, the Predator MQ-1 has been formatted to fire an AGM-114 Hellfire missile. This is an example of how far drone technology has come because the military is now willing to arm them and give them the ability to use lethal force. Drones are heavily used overseas. The United States military currently has a fleet of about 8,000 active and known drones. Drones are regularly used overseas to provide surveillance, to provide premeditated target strikes, and ground support for troops. You hear a lot about these operations in the news. Their use in the war in the Middle East has been described as very effective by Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta. To date, there have been over 3,000 confirmed drone strike kills over uncounted numbers of missions. Drones in the United States. Now, this is where things really become pertinent with the discussion about our rights granted by the Fourth Amendment, and things kind of relate to our discussions in class over the past week or so. The United States law enforcement agencies, from the FBI to local police departments, are purchasing and deploying drones more and more. They're becoming more widespread, and their abilities are becoming more realized. These domestic drones, as they're called, are used for surveillance purposes only in the United States right now, but some agencies are advocating for looser legislation. These would allow drones to be able to carry non-lethal weapons such as tasers or guns that shoot rubber bullets. These aren't necessarily things that could kill you, but they could certainly ruin your day if you find yourself on the wrong side of them. This allowance is really important because it opens the door for the use of lethal force later in the future of armed drones. While this is already happening overseas, this is really talking about what could happen later in the United States. We could see drones take over the ability that law enforcement officers have to use lethal force when necessary. Drones in the Fourth Amendment, this is where things really come to a head. The concept of drones violating the right to privacy granted to us by the Fourth Amendment is very real. Modern technology has made drones pretty darn good at their job. For example, the camera on the Predator MQ-1, which is the most popular drone model for the United States military, has a camera, which is pictured below here, that can read license plate numbers from several thousand feet in the air and use facial recognition software to track targets from pretty much the same altitude. So they can watch targets without targets knowing they're being watched. Because of this kind of capability, drones can be used to conduct surveillance on anyone or anything almost anywhere. This kind of ability certainly seems to threaten the personal security granted to us by the Fourth Amendment, because they can search us and violate our privacy, possibly without us even knowing. So, in conclusion, we have to realize that drones are here. Their era is now. This is not a discussion about tomorrow's world. They have the ability to violate our privacy by utilizing their capabilities of observation on us, the citizens of the United States. So we protect ourselves by realizing that we are not being threatened by the Terminators here. These are drones, and by that definition, they are mindless machines that follow the instructions of their controllers. So we support legislation that keeps the use of drones legal and for the exclusive purpose of protecting our freedom as citizens of the United States. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. Here are my sources.